Good day everyone. Today we're going to discuss about the history of importing and exporting. The history of importing and exporting dates back to the Roman Empire when European and Asian traders imported and exported goods across the vast land of Eurasia. Trading along the Silk Road flourished during the 13th and 14th century. Caravans laden with imports from China and India came over the desert to Constantinople and Alexandria. From there, Italian ships transported the goods to European ports. For centuries, importing and exporting has often involved intermediaries, due in part to the long distance traveled and different native languages spoken. The spice trade of the 40s was no exception. Spices were very much in demand because Europeans had no refrigeration, which meant they had to preserve meat using large amount of salt or risk eating half-rotten flesh. Spices distinguish the otherwise poor flavor of the meat. Europeans also used spices as medicines. The European demand for spices gave rise to the spice trade. The trouble was spices were difficult to obtain because they grew in jungle half a world away from Europe. The overland journeys to the spice-rich lands was arduous and involves many middlemen along the way. Each middleman charged a fee and thus raised the price in the spice and each point. By the end of the journey, the price from the spice was inflated to 1,000%. And now we were going to discuss about importing and exporting. Importing and exporting are meant for foreign trade. Foreign trade is carried out in goods and services, which includes imports, export, and the balance of the foreign trade is presented separately for goods and for services. The total imports, export, and the balance of the foreign trade presented as summary of goods and services. Exporting refers to the selling of the goods and services from home countries to a foreign nation, whereas importing refers to the purchase of the foreign product and bringing them into one's home country. Further, it divided into two ways, which are direct and indirect. Every nation is blessed with certain resources, assets, and abilities. For instance, a few nations are rich in natural reserves. For example, petroleum products, timber, fertile soil, or valuable metals and minerals, while different nations have deficiency of these resources.
Advantages of import and export. It is one of the simplest routes of entering into the global trade, and import and export generates huge employment opportunities. Pag meron kasing import and export, nagkakaroon ng malaking market o global trade na kung saan nagkakaroon ng interchange ng goods and services at nagkakaroon din ito ng employment opportunities. Two, requires less investment in terms of time and money when contrasted with other methods of entering into the global trade. Pag nag-engage ka kasi sa international trade through import and export, mas maliles yung risk scenarios kasi mas less yung cost na makukuha mo dahil kilala na yung produkto at services na ini-import at ine-export mo. As no nations can be 100% self-sufficient, import and export are very crucial for the functioning and growth of that trade. Can help countries to access the best technologies available and the best products and services in the world. Yes, dahil nga international trade, makukuha mo talaga yung mga high-end products that you wanted in a cheaper cost. Last, it gives better control over the trade than setting up a market, and the risk is considerably low. Dahil nga import at export, hindi mo na need ng mga possible requirements when it comes sa mga business permits itself dahil nga import naman. Limitations of import and export. It includes extra packaging, transportations, and protections and insurance costs which build up the total cost of items. Pag nag-export kasi mga fees in transportations, packaging, ikaw pa yung magbabayad for fees while sa insurance cost mo, syempre if may mangyaring hindi maganda sa goods and services mo, ikaw yung magiging liable as a business owners na ini-import mong goods and services to other countries. To syempre, All of countries have a regulatories in terms of tariffs. Depends on the products that imports, and some countries you need to have permits to establishing a business outside the country. Merchandises are subject to quality standards. Any low grades merchandise which is exported will result in a country reputations and remarks on the country. Siyempre, when it comes sa pag-merchandise, siyempre lahat ng ini-import mo or ina-export mo, dapat good quality product or well-known product, which is malilimitahan mo yung paggamit ng mga low quality, so magiging either cost siya or madadagdagan. Obtaining licenses and documentations for foreign trade is a difficult and frustrating task. Siyempre, obtaining license, ayan nga, if nag-franchise ka abroad, business, of course, you need all the permits to conduct franchise businesses.
Good day everyone. My report is all about tariff and how it actually works. A tariff is tax imposed by one country on the goods and services imported from another country. Tariffs are used to restrict imports. Simply put, they increase the price of goods and services purchased from another country, making them less attractive to domestic consumers. A key point to understand is that the tariff imposed affects the exporting country indirectly, as the domestic consumer might shy away from their product due to the increase in price. If the domestic consumer still chooses the imported product, then the tariff has essentially raised the cost for the domestic consumer. So how do tariffs actually work? Tariffs work by increasing the price of the import. Those higher prices give an advantage to domestic products within the same market. They are used to protect a nation's industry. Despite the protectionist motivations, tariffs tend to be a barrier to international trade and business overall. Other countries often retaliate and impose their own tariffs. Governments may impose tariffs to raise revenue or to protect domestic industries, especially nascent ones, from foreign competition. By making foreign-produced goods more expensive, tariffs can make domestically produced alternatives seem more attractive. Governments that use tariffs to benefit particular industries often to do so to protect companies and jobs. Tariff can also be used as an extension of foreign policy. Imposing tariffs on a trading partner's main exports is a way to exert economic leverage. Tariffs can have unintended side effects. However, they can make domestic industries less efficient and innovative by reducing competition. They can hurt domestic consumers since a lack of competition tends to push up prices. They can generate tensions by favoring certain industries or geographic regions over others. For example, tariffs designed to help manufacturers in cities may hurt consumers in rural areas who do not benefit from the policy and are likely to pay more for manufactured goods. And finally, an attempt to pressure a rival country by using tariffs can dissolve into an unproductive cycle of retaliation commonly known as a trade war. And that's all. Thank you.
If you are interested in starting an import or export business, there are tons of considerations you need to make before it begins to operate. First, you need to register your business. This means getting any documents needed to operate your business legally, and also you need to make a business plan too. Nakalagay dapat sa business plan yung rules and regulations na kailangan mong sundin sa pag-import or export ng produkto mo. Second one is finding a product or industry you are passionate about na sa tingin mo papatok internationally. Once you find a product, kailangan mo ring alamin yung papasukin mong market. The best product for this type of business are those product na papatok pa lamang o yung mga produktong sa tingin mong kakailanganin sa future. And also, you need to find a local manufacturer that can lead to a strong partnership. You need to convince a supplier sa benefits na papasukin yung market and figure out the logistics of taking their product from their local production facility to another one na kaya may pagsabayan sa iba pang business sa buong mundo. The next one is setting the price of your chosen product. Be sure the price of your product is hindi i-exceed sa presyo na in-expect ng customers mo. Pero wag mo naman masyadong babaan, yun aabot ka na sa point na wala ka nang kikitain. Kaya ka nga nag-business is para kumita, hindi para magbigay lamang. The next steps is finding customers to sell to. Kakailanganin mo rin ng distributors na mag-aasikaso sa pagbebenta at paghahanap ng customers na willing bumili ng produkto mo. Pwede rin gumamit ng e-commerce platforms like Lazada and Shopee. And ang end up nito is yung customers yung makakahanap sa'yo. na pati sa produkto na binebenta mo. And the most complex aspect of importing and exporting is the logistics of taking a product created somewhere and selling it somewhere else. Hiring a global freight forwarder is a good idea sa lahat ng import and export businesses as they serve as the transport agent for moving cargo. By simply giving the informations about your business, sila na yung bahala sa pag-aasikaso ng transactions and all documents needed to operate para ma-import or export yung goods mo.
Hi, good day. I'm John Mark Malete and I'm going to discuss about the top 10 imports and exports of the Philippines today. So, let's start. So, for the Philippines top 10 exports, the following export product groups categorize the highest dollar value in Filipino global shipments during 2019. Also shown is the percentage share each export category represents in the term of overall exports from the Philippines. The top one is the electrical machinery and equipment, 34.7 billion US dollars, which has the 49.3 of total exports. The top two is the machinery including computers, 10.6 billion US dollars, 15.1%. Fruits, nuts, 2.6 billion US dollars, 3.7%. The fourth one is the optical, technical, medical apparatus, 2.2 billion US dollars, 3.1%. Next is the gems, precious metals, 1.6 billion US dollars, 2.3%. Next one is the copper, 1.4 billion US dollars, 2%. Ores, slugs, ash, 1.2 billion, 1.8%. Next is vehicles, 1.1 billion US dollars, 1.5%. Minerals, fuels including oils, 1.4 billion US dollars, 1.5%. The last one is the plastic articles, 1.02 billion percent, 1.5%. Philippines top 10 exports accounted for over 4/5, 81.8% of the overall value of its global shipments. So that's all for the exports. Let's proceed to the imports. The Republic of the Philippines imported 112.9 billion US dollars worth of goods from around the globe in 2019. That dollar amount reflects a 60.9% acceleration since 2015, but a negative 1.9% downstick from 2018 to 2019. The following product groups represent the highest dollar value worth of import purchases during 2019. The top one is the electrical machinery equipment, 27 billion US dollars, 23.9% of total imports. The second one, mineral fuels including oil, 13.6 billion US dollars, which is 12% imports. Number 3 is the machinery including computers, 12.5 billion US dollars, 11.1%. The next one is the vehicles, 8.5 billion US dollars, 7.5%. Iron, steel, 3.9 billion US dollars, 3.5%. Next is plastic articles, 3.7 billion US dollars, 3.3%. Cereals, 2.9 billion dollars, 2.6%. Next, spacecraft, 2.8 billion US dollars and has 2.5%. The last one is articles of iron or steel, 1.9 billion US dollars, 1.7%. And the Philippines top 10 imports accounted for over two-thirds, 70.1% of the overall value of its product purchases from other countries. And that's all for the top 10 imports and exports of the Philippines. Thank you.